Can women truly compete with men in combat sports? Today we'll be diving into this controversial topic, but be warned, this video may hurt your ego. If you've scrolled through YouTube comments on videos featuring guys fighting with or training with girls, you've likely stumbled upon comments like, "He's not even trying," or "She could never do that to me." And you'll likely see plenty of questions about whether a woman could stand a chance in a quote-unquote real fight. Today, we're separating fact from fiction and breaking it down. We'll be looking at 3 different scenarios with men and women at varying levels of training and skill. Since this is a jiu-jitsu channel, we'll be looking at it more through the lens of jiu-jitsu, but these arguments can be applied to a wide range of martial arts and combat sports. Before we begin, it's worth noting that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has a reputation as the martial art where speed and technique triumph over size and strength. Legendary figures like Helio Gracie, a smaller fighter, routinely triumphed over larger opponents. His son Royce was a 3-time UFC champion and one of the most influential fighters in MMA history. He defeated opponents who were much bigger and stronger than him with his elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills and helped to popularize BJJ around the world with his performances in the UFC. So, given that these men were able to use their Jiu-Jitsu skills to defeat such larger and stronger opponents, does this ability to overcome mismatches only apply to men, or can it extend to women as well? In our first scenario, let's imagine a matchup where neither the woman nor the man have set foot on a BJJ mat, picking any regular guy and regular girl off the street, putting them in the octagon, and letting them fight. It would be like starting a video game without knowing any special moves. Everyone's on a level playing field, or so it would seem. Now, let's dig into why this lack of training can make a significant difference. Considering the average man versus the average woman, we need to acknowledge some physical realities. Factors like bone density, muscle mass, and testosterone are all going to play a significant role, giving men an inherent physical advantage. Grappling is going to involve using your weight and strength to control and submit your opponent. So it stands to reason that if no skill is involved, the one with more weight and strength is going to have a big advantage. Think of jiu-jitsu techniques like the arm bar or triangle choke as special moves in our video game. In this case, both the man and the woman don't know any of these moves. So instead of using cool combos and techniques, they resort to spamming and smashing buttons as hard as they can to try and accomplish their goal. Given this, the fight will become a test of raw strength, where the bigger and stronger opponent, in this case the man, has a clear advantage. It's pretty clear that in a fight between an average man and woman, most people would be betting on the man, and for good reason. With such big physical advantages, the woman would have very few, if any, paths to victory. It's safe to say that in scenario 1, the man is the clear winner. Now let's dive into a familiar scenario you often encounter in jiu-jitsu gyms or online videos. Picture a showdown between 2 well-trained athletes, both equipped with a solid foundation of skills. It's not just about knowing the techniques. The real game changer is the time and effort each has invested in becoming more proficient on the mats. Let's explore how training becomes the decisive factor in this dynamic. BJJ is all about finesse and strategy, akin to navigating a strategic game where precision in moves trumps sheer strength. In this particular situation, both the female and male practitioners grasp the intricacies of executing these techniques, utilizing leverage and strategic thinking to secure a competitive edge. The amount of time trained becomes a critical factor here. Even with similar levels of training, an average guy will still enjoy an advantage over the average woman. However, it's important to note that high-level women's jiu-jitsu athletes can still perform very well against trained men due to their exceptional skill and technique. The average time it takes to get a black belt is seen as around 10 years. A black belt woman, after approximately 10 years of training, can easily dominate lower-level men. So, even with a strength advantage, men might struggle against a woman with a decade of training under her belt. The key here is that gaining skill and technique is able to bridge the gap created by physical disadvantages. In this scenario, BJJ becomes a skill-based battleground. It's not just about having knowledge, but also about how well you can apply it. The gap between the two narrows and the matchup becomes more dependent on the amount of training each side has received. This matchup is much less clear-cut than the last, but given the same amount of training, a man would still be able to come out on top due to their physical advantages. Our third scenario is pivotal, reflecting why women are drawn to Jiu-Jitsu in the first place. Let's explore what happens when the woman is trained in BJJ, but the man is not. Here, we witness the true power of BJJ training in action. The highly trained woman can leverage her skills to control and submit the untrained man. If you've spent time in Jiu-Jitsu, you know the feeling of training with someone without experience or with substantially less experience. Gordon Ryan described it best. It's like handling a child. You can use basic understanding of leverage and simple techniques to overcome most people's instinctive way of fighting. If you take an average guy off the street and put him against a blue belt male, it won't even be close. This advantage extends to women as well, and they enjoy a substantial edge over an average guy off the street. The catch here is going to be that women are likely to need a higher level of training to reach this same point, but they will certainly be able to get there. In a match where only one side understands how to use technique and leverage, it's not about overpowering, but rather using skill and knowledge to gain the upper hand. The average person won't understand how to not get taken down, how to not get their back taken, and how to avoid giving up their neck for a choke. We can see various clips of trained women overcoming untrained guys who aren't expecting it to prove the point. This scenario underscores the transformative power of BJJ training for women. It empowers individuals, providing them with tools to defend themselves effectively. Jiu-Jitsu becomes an extremely effective tool for women looking to protect themselves against potential attackers, fostering a genuine sense of confidence. However, it's crucial to note that all of these scenarios that we've been looking at are making the assumption that we're dealing with an average man and an average woman in terms of size and strength. If we were to tweak these scenarios by making the women smaller and weaker, or the men bigger and stronger, we're going to see some big differences in outcomes. The more we shift the physical advantages towards men, the more of a training advantage that women are likely to need to succeed. When we're dealing with large or exceptionally strong men, it's likely that an average woman will have a very hard time overcoming these physical differences, even with a very high level of skill and technique. All of this is to say, a petite woman won't magically be able to manhandle a 300-pound strong man with jiu-jitsu, but it can still be an incredibly effective tool for them to defend themselves against would-be attackers or opponents, male or female. BJJ's emphasis on technique, leverage, and strategy can prove to be a game changer. Do you agree? Do you think women can truly compete with men? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analyses. Until next time, keep rolling, stay safe, and we'll catch you in the next video.